Hello and welcome to the sports podcast presented by the CollingsThodeNetwork. I'm Curtis Collings along with my co-host
Nolan Thode.
So today we're going to talk quickly about the NFL playoffs because we've had our first two rounds, and then we're going to be moving on to some hockey talk because that's what's been requested mostly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you, but I mean I know my dad's been requesting it, and I know a lot of people, my brother. So
yeah, we'll give the viewers what they want. We did the preseason episode, but yeah, I mean, it's been tough, and football has taken a little bit of priority just because
it's the main
they're in
sport right now.
Postseason. Yeah, exactly. Like hockey around playoff time,
even trade deadline time. It's just like there's no trades happening. There's no
it's
waivers.
a long season,
so
80 games, 82 games. It's just the week to week stuff. How relevant does that hold up?
So like we're just now getting into like rumor season, so it's like but so we'll talk about standings, we'll talk about some players we like, but first we'll talk about the playoffs because I really want to flex that I nailed every single first round matchup because I know football because I'm a football master, obviously.
Football genius.
I don't know, I had a feeling that most people had a feeling that the Vikings were frauds. I guess we'll talk about that first because I want to go into that first. But that was the only one that was like tough to predict. But like
the Jags game was
tough.
game
was tough, I guess. But
who would have? Yeah, and there was a point in time where I looked like a genius for picking the Chargers, and then they come roaring back. No, not largest comeback. One of the largest comebacks in postseason history.
It was pretty,
impressive for T-Law. It was unfortunate that he couldn't get it done in the divisional round and kind of have a little bit of a Cinderella story, but getting a playoff win under his belt, very impressive.
Yeah,
and I think
of all wins to get.
And like, I'm a Bills fan. Obviously, we'll get into it. I'm sad, but I wish we could just trade into the NFC because AFC, we've got Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow. Like Lamar Jackson may or may not leave.
Tua's still in that division.
Texans probably take Bryce Young, the next guy. There's probably guys I'm missing as well.
Yeah. Even then, you're only naming superstars. Like, there's still a tier below of guys that are in that Mac Jones category that you also have to contend with who have great teams around them some years.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be tough. I can just kind of hop into the Bills.
Yeah,
it was a little bit of a shaky wild card game, but we still got the win. And people who look too much into a bad win, still got the win. That's all you really need to do. It doesn't really matter how you do it. It's what you take away from the game and how you build and grow off of it. I was terrified coming into this matchup playing the Bengals just because the Bengals have looked unbeatable since they started this winning streak. They beat the Chiefs along the way. They're just the hottest team in football right now. I would say putting them over the Niners. The Niners are hot as well, have more consecutive wins. But there's something about this Bengals team that, I don't know, I didn't want to face them. And immediately down 14-0. I knew it was going to be a long game. The only hope I had was at the end of the second half, or at the end of the first half, we were down 17-7. We got the ball going downfield. I thought, okay, we get the ball to start the second half. Maybe we get a score here, score on our first drive. It's a new game. But we just weren't able to claw back into the game like I hoped we were. And then we were down 3 possessions in the fourth quarter, and it was just kind of over.
Yeah, at that point, it was just like total deflation.
Yeah, credit to the Bengals. They played pretty much an amazing game. My brother and I, he's overseas, but he was watching the game from a bar in UK, I want to say.
Nice.
He said there were lots of Bengals fans there, so pretty hostile environment. But we were pretty much texting him back and forth, and pretty much until the Bills got their first stop on the Bengals, which led to the Bills' first scoring drive, there wasn't a thing to cheer for. Like, it was almost at the end of the first quarter, and all that I could write down pretty much was a tackle for loss as a good Bills play. Other than that, the Bengals moved the ball super well, and the Bills couldn't get a stop, and their offense looked flat. And I don't know, I think the Bengals D is severely underrated. I think they played the Bills fantastically. I think Bills match up maybe a little bit better against a team that has a weaker defense. But
yeah, like the Chiefs, for instance.
Exactly. I like us better against the Chiefs than I do the Bengals, and as weird as that is, not so much. But yeah, I think we have things that we need to address on the offensive side of the ball. Gabe Davis isn't a true number 2. I think he's a big play guy, and he can show up in the playoffs. I just think as like a consistent route runner, like someone that the defense kind of has to, I feel like Gabe Davis, is a production, or is a product of sometimes the defenses probably don't, cover him as hard because you got a Stephon Diggs, you got, Dawson Knox is a very, very good receiving threat. People don't give him enough credit. But yeah, I think giving Diggs more help and giving Allen more help really is important to address this offseason. Khalil Shakir, I'm really excited to see what he does next season.
Yeah, I'm hoping
he was pretty good in the playoffs. Made a big play here or there. So I think he can definitely be a solid part of the core next year. He was only a 5th-round pick, so
yeah, I've had him
that rookie
rostered
season a little
in Dynasty since I think I drafted him. I drafted him in Dynasty, so yeah. I've just been waiting on him.
It's again, it's like when the Leafs lose in the playoffs. It's like when the Cowboys lose in the playoffs. It's like, you look at I'll draw a comparison. You look at the New York Giants. They beat the Vikings. They lost to the Eagles. They got, they're, ass kicked by the Eagles. I thought that game was going to be closer. But anyways, my point is, after that game, even though it was a blowout loss, even though you're out of the playoffs, pretty much nothing but good things to say about this Giants team, and fans being happy and excited and just happy for the year that it was. Whereas, when the Bills lose, they have such great expectations. It's kind of just like, can next year come sooner? You don't care about what we learned.
Yeah, there's at this point, like, what is there to learn as a fan? What is there to learn? That's honestly the same thing how it is for Leafs fans. It's like, as a Leafs fan, there's nothing more to learn about the team. It's either they win for once, or we just get disappointed by the same result every year. And I guess that's kind of where, sadly, I mean, think about it. The Bills have kind of always been in that place for their entire history, more or less. So yeah, it's been a tough existence. This is
the first competitive team in my life.
For you, yeah, true. It's like the Leafs for me. It's like the first time for me where it's like, yeah, that is such. What an awful place to be in. What do you do next year? Vaughn's back.
Yeah. We might lose Poyer. We might lose Edmonds. 2 pretty big pieces on defense.
Huge pieces.
Our first-round pick is going to be pretty important. Brandon Beane was talking today about how, just the way our hands are tied with where cap is, where money's going. We're going to have to nail our draft picks and, get some low-level signings, some cheap signings that can contribute to the team. Another thing he was talking about is how, Joe Burrow's still on his rookie deal. So the Bengals are able to build that amazing team around him, whereas, Josh Allen's getting his, whatever, $40 to $50 million a year.
It's a pretty big contract.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, brushing over the Bills, it is what it is. Tough loss. It's weird because the Bengals are like my third favorite team in the league. But your third favorite team in the league becomes your least favorite team in the league when your favorite team's playing them. Like, I love the Bengals. I love their roster. I'm going to be cheering for them next week against the Chiefs, that's for sure. But there was not a bone in my body that wanted to see them have any success against the Bills, and it was unfortunate that they did.
Yeah. Oh. But as a Bills fan, no panic buttons being hit? Nothing like that?
I mean, Josh is only 26, so I don't think yet.
Sure. How much panic can you have?
I think in terms of the core that's been around here for the last 5 years, I'd say that team's probably not going to be the team to win the championship if we do, break through. We're going to have to reconstruct the roster, and it's going to be interesting to see how Beane does it. I'm excited as, someone who likes the front office aspect of sports. Just, where do we go from here? We'll see. That's,
very interesting. Other than that, for football, not much else really.
Cowboys lost again.
Cowboys lost second round. That was where I think the Bills game was my first prediction to go awry, but then that was the second one. I don't even know. I don't even know for this team. It's just like the only thing that I think the embodiment of just this Cowboys team was that play they had where Zeke snapped the ball.
It was a very weird final play.
Weird final play, and just for some reason, it's just been a running theme with the Cowboys that their final play has just been asinine. It's just been horrible. Last year, they did the QB draw without a timeout. Like, it's just like they have no IQ in Dallas apparently for football. It's like every single year, it's the same BS, and it's like we get to laugh at it, and it's hilarious, but it's like. If I were a Dallas fan, I mean, it's the same feeling as a Leafs fan, honestly, or a Knicks fan.
Yeah.
But like, what a dumb play! I really can't believe they actually ran it too.
And then people were like destroying their TVs and stuff like that. In response, I saw a video guy like ran over his TV with a truck repeatedly, and I don't know why you do that.
I don't
think that's taking things a little too far. But I won't say that I don't get it. Because
I understand the frustration.
After you watch that game where your team loses and you're going through, the 6 or 7 stages of grief all in, 1 hour, trying to process the loss, there's an amount of anger that you have built up inside you, and you're trying to remain calm, but you just want to, do something to let it out. I remember, this is a very weird, obscure reference, but the Penguins in 2018, 2016, or 2017, the year before. So the Penguins went up 3-1 in the series against the Washington Capitals, and it was the game 4 that put them up 3-1. I remember just being so mad, and I just got a pillow, and I just was repeatedly just like punching it, like slowly, methodically, and then my mom was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Mom, just let this happen,
What a strange reference.
The Capitals ended up forcing Game 7 and losing in Game 7.
How tragic.
But yeah,
wow,
no, it is what it is.
What an obscure reference, but yeah. Then other than that, football. I really do like my Chiefs versus Eagles prediction. But the 49ers look just as primed to make that Super Bowl. So we'll see. And then I think,
both NFC and AFC championship games are must-watch games in my opinion.
They're going to be huge.
Chiefs Bengals version 4 with Burrow and Mahomes. Burrow's 3-0 against him. I think the Bengals are the favorites. Not gonna lie. In the game, I'm not too sure.
In my mind's their favorites just because of the role they're on and how good this team is right now.
Yeah,
I still pick the Chiefs. I still stand by what I said before the playoffs started.
But yeah, and then the NFC Championship, it's the team that's been expected to be the NFC representative all year in the Eagles, and then the team that poses the biggest threat with Brock Purdy still at QB. Yeah. And I heard some news Jimmy G might be ready for the Super Bowl, but if you make the Super Bowl, I don't see how you don't start Brock Purdy.
Why? And then this is also, I don't remember which game it was like 2019 or something, but these two played in some type of bowl or some type of game in college. So it's a rematch from that, so... No, football's looking good. I'm sure that we'll do a more dedicated episode coming up into Super Bowl weekend. But till then, we'll move on to hockey now, and we will talk about the Atlantic Division, the Leafs Division, but more importantly, the Bruins Division, because they are running away with it and the league right now, as it appears. But we'll get into that later. I want to end with the top of the Atlantic. I want to go bottom up, but I just wanted to give a quick mention that they own the Atlantic, and right now they own the NHL.
Yeah, just giving for the viewers at home, it's mid-season hockey. We haven't done an episode since preseason, so we're dividing this mid-season NHL episode into 2 different episodes. So this one we're going to talk about the Atlantic and Pacific divisions, because Curtis's favorite team, the Leafs, and my favorite team, the Oilers, those are their divisions. And then in the next episode, we'll talk about the Central and Metro, which, I don't know, it makes sense in my brain, the Atlantic, the Pacific,
Either ocean.
I feel like exactly, and then the Central and the Metro, kind of the same thing.
Yeah, same vibes.
But yeah, so the Atlantic Division.
So
first, starting from the bottom up,
the
eighth place team in the Atlantic Division is the Montreal Canadiens.
Technically tied for last if we're going off points.
Yeah.
With 46 games played, the Senators are also in last. If they lose this next game, they're officially tied. But if they lose in overtime or win, then it's just the Canadian spots. We'll get into the Canadians now. This is where everyone expected them.
Yeah.
But at first, they weren't here. They were ahead of a few teams earlier in the season, but then they did exactly what we all thought they would do, and now Caulfield is out for the year.
Yeah, and I think that just really handicaps them because he was their team's leading scorer with 26 goals up to this point. Having a really good year.
Career year. Amazing year.
Would probably going to hit 40.
Yeah, easily would have been a 40. Like, I would have bet money on
that. Yeah. The second leading scorer, goals-wise, behind him is Nick Suzuki. And an interesting thought I had earlier today was, does Suzuki catch Caulfield with the remaining games in the season? I mean,
I'd like to think so.
16 and 47 games. I don't know.
He's on pace for about 30.
In 35 games, can he get 10?
I'd hope so.
We'll see. I mean, he's losing a big line mate.
He is.
He is the team's leading scorer though, Nick Suzuki. He's got 22 assists, 16 goals, 38 points. Nothing crazy. He's having a solid year too. His first year as the captain of the team. Rough year to be the captain just because you don't really know. You're just kind of waiting a few years until this team's ready to compete again.
They're just kind of trying to lose, and you never kind of want to be a captain.
They've accepted the fact that they're a bottom feeder.
Still beat the Leafs.
Yeah, beat the Leafs on Saturday night. Because, even as good as the Leafs are and as bad as the Habs are, it's still going to be a close game. Josh Anderson's going to show up.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Always pegs a goal against the Leafs.
Every time. The last person I'd want to mention for them, two guys I want to mention actually real quick, Sean Montembeault. He's been incredible lately, and he actually looks like he might be the goalie of the future, or at least for the short-term future. And I think we need to start, or not we, me specifically, I know this. I know I need to start limiting my expectation on number 1 overall picks.
Yeah.
I was way too high on Lafreniere. He was not that guy. Now in the first year, and now we're seeing in years past, or like in these coming years, that he's kind of not developing like that. And now we're seeing Slavkovsky with 4 goals, 6 assists in 39 games. He's been scratched already this year. I still think he'll be a good NHL player, but like when time goes on, will he be a top 5 player in this draft? I don't know.
We'll see.
I don't know. And I might be able to say the same for Lafreniere. Of will he be a top 5 player in his draft? By the end of it, I don't think so. I think there'll be 5 other players that have a bigger impact on the game than he does. And I think that's going to be the same way Slavkovsky goes here. So that's all for the.
Very early to tell.
Yeah, it's very early to tell.
Only one. I don't think many players from last year's draft even got a game so far.
Yeah. So it's hard to tell.
I know Wright played. Other than that, can't really think of too many. But yeah, Montembeault, he's 10-8-2 with 911 save percentage.
Like surprisingly good, and especially lately, it's been over like a 930 save percentage with like an under 2.65 goals against in his last like 10 or whatever. It's like it's incredible. He's been playing really good hockey,
winning them some unnecessary games. But yeah. I mean, I think what people were hyping up going into this season with the Habs was the youth and just sort of as a building year and what can they do.
Yeah, and the prospect of Bedard.
Yeah, and I don't know. It hasn't been a crazy year for their young guys. I do like Kirby Dach, the addition of him.
I love that addition still.
He's been pretty solid. Caden Gooley has been a pretty good defenseman as well. brother of Brendan Gooley, but I don't even think Brendan Gooley's in the league. But yeah, I think just there really wasn't any expectations. People expect him to be here, and now without Caulfield for the rest of the season, it can be a really rough ride from here on out. If you're a Habs fan, you're going to be getting like 2 goals a night if you're lucky.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Opposite of the Habs, though, a team with some expectations but shouldn't be here. Senators tied with them, same amount of points and 1 less game. What's happening? What's going on in Ottawa?
Yeah. I mean, they didn't have Talbot to start the season,
of course.
So
and then when he came back,
he
was slow a bit when he came back.
He's been better as of late for sure. And then like the guys like DeBrincat. DeBrincat took a while to adjust to the new team. I think he's picking it up a little bit more.
Yeah, from what I've heard, he's been a lot hotter lately, scoring goals again.
39 points, 46 games. I mean, they're getting points. It's just the defense and the goaltending isn't superb. One notable name for sure is Tim Stützle. He's having a breakout year. I'd want to say at least.
The year people thought that this is the player that he was projected to be when he was drafted, and it took him a little longer than some of his draft classmates. But like,
no, he's got 20 goals, 23 assists, 43 points in 42 games. Leads forwards in time on ice per game, I'm pretty sure.
Wouldn't be surprised.
He's just been really solid. And when you go back to Lafreniere, him and Byfield both have kind of just been slowly developing. What are they going to be? Whereas that 3rd overall pick, Tim Stützle, looks like, a top 3 pick, a proper top 3 pick. And I drafted a lot of Tim Stützle in fantasy leagues just because I kind of wanted to be a part of it if he was going to have a breakout season, and I'm glad that I did get all that stock because he's been really exciting, really fun.
Yeah, I think Claude Giroux, of course, has been a big addition too. He was scoring a lot to start the year, and that's kind of slowed down a bit, but just like his general veteran presence, we could see in Stützle, his play is a lot better, and it's a lot more calm, it's a lot more mature, and how can you not point to a guy like Claude Giroux and say, like, what a boost he's making?
Yeah, no, I think having that veteran leadership has proven to be very valuable. It also helps when you have a guy like Brady Tkachuk protecting you, who's also had a fantastic season. He's always kind of been known as, a grit and grind guy who has a very large impact on the game, but was never thought to be, a point per game scorer. But he has been this season. He's got 17 goals, 30 assists for 47 points in 46 games. So, they got 2 point per game guys there in Stützle and Brady Tkachuk, and I think you got to build around those two on offense. Then you got guys like Sanderson, Chabot on the back end. I think the future is still very bright in Ottawa. I just think
this isn't the year for it.
People got a little ahead of themselves, picking them to be that. Well, it was
I know
because that 4th seed in the Atlantic was kind of up for grabs. You expected Toronto, Boston, Tampa Bay. Yeah, no, it still completely is, and they're only 8 points back. But I don't know. It's just hard to see this team having a successful year. Who knows? Maybe they make a run. That'd be cool. But yeah, I think Ottawa. It's just another year towards the future.
Yeah.
I think if I'm an Ottawa fan, maybe I'm a little disappointed that we didn't meet expectations of being a playoff team, but I'm certainly happy with what I've seen from some of the individual players on the team.
Yeah, I'm definitely happy with the talent on the team. Next team is the Red Wings. I don't got much to say about them. Mid.
Yeah. I mean,
Ville Husso, he's been really good. That's actually one huge bright spot for them. He's been surprisingly good on that team. They put Ned on waivers though,
which was strange. I don't know. I
don't get it. I don't get why no one scooped him up immediately. I didn't hear any teams claim him.
No, he went unclaimed. I think it's because he has a little bit of a contract. It's just
it's fair, but still, for the talent he is. I mean, I guess
does he get another shot in the league? We'll see.
I'd like to think
you would think it would be on Detroit if he were to get that. But Husso, he seems to be the starter. Seems to be that guy.
I mean, they did give him the contract.
Which is nice to see because, which is nice to see though, just because of this. He had a great year last year in St. Louis. Obviously, they chose Bennington just because he was already locked up.
And he won the cup with them.
Guys. Yeah, but now Husso has his own team, and he's got a winning record.
I still think kind of, yeah, 15-11. 15-11
15-11 5.
I still think the Leafs should have signed him. They could have given him the same amount of money Detroit did, and he would have been in a winning situation. Instead, now he's proving himself to be a bona fide starter in the league and a bona fide starter for years to come, I feel like, with this season on this Detroit team. But it's just like, it's not doing much for his own personal stock, I feel like. Unless he and this Detroit team turn around in the next 2 to 3 years, it's not...
Which, I mean...
they could. They could.
They're 19-8-8, which, is better than people probably had them pegged to be. Dylan Larkin leading them in all categories. 15 goals, 25 assists. He's just kind of that guy there. Lucas Raymond also with 14 goals.
15, nice actually, it says on the NHL stats website.
Oh, yeah, okay, then I guess they're tied.
Yeah, so they're tied for first, and then Perron's at 14.
Per game edge. Yeah, and then Perron at 14, and then Kubalik at 14.
Yeah, good to see the Raymond stepping up there. Mo Seider.
Philip plus 11, 32 points in 45 games.
He's been a huge season. He's a big waiver wire guy for me, Philip Perron. Picked him up in at least 2 to 3 leagues. So, but yeah, I don't got much else to say about this team. It's just kind of mid. It's whatever. It's more so of what we said for Ottawa, of just like it's another year towards the future. Nothing more they can do.
Larkin's only getting older. You got to think maybe they move him.
Yeah.
At some point in time, I've heard rumors. That's the only reason why I bring it up.
Yeah, I've heard there's similar rumors to Bo Horvat, but with less gumption to them, with less meat on the bone. So,
but yeah.
Moving on to the next team is the Florida Panthers, and this is kind of where we get like the line gets drawn between our bottom half teams and our top half teams in the Atlantic Division. These top 5 teams here all could be playoff teams and should be playoff teams. No, they shouldn't be.
The top 5, you said?
The Atlantic, or the Metro has 6.
Metro's tough.
Metro has 6 teams better than the 5th
Sabres.
And better than the Sabres and the Panthers.
I guess they're tied.
Yeah. So
but no, going into the Panthers, Matthew Tkachuk leads them in all scoring categories: 24 goals, 30,
incredible,
6 assists,
72
points.
Penalty minutes.
Yeah, he's just, people really dogged on the Huberdeau Tkachuk trade, thinking that the Florida Panthers gave up too much. I mean, they gave up 2 guys that they probably weren't going to be able to retain for a guy who is,
he's going to be the
proven.
He's going to be the face of the Florida Panthers.
Barkov's been a little bit healthy here and there, kind of shaky, so it'd be nice to see him and Tkachuk get a good stretch of games together. Their goaltending also right now, both goalies are down. They got Alex Lyon as the starter.
And they sent Spencer Knight down to the AHL for conditioning.
Yeah, Spencer Knight's been their better goalie statistically, but Bobrovsky's getting the bulk of the starts still. He's at 12-13-2 this season with an 8.97 and a 3.25. He had a really good year last year, and then the year before was disappointing. Yeah. So maybe it's just the case of an every other year type thing for Bob. I don't think this Panthers team competes with the Panthers team that we saw last year. Duclair obviously still out. They don't have their first round pick though this year, so they still probably want to keep winning games. But yeah, I don't know. I do like this Panthers team. I just don't see them as like a
huge thing to note for this Florida Panthers team, and a big difference from this year and other years is their bottom 6 scoring, and it's gone down crazy. Patrick Hornquist in 22 games, he's played half the games, a goal and 2 assists. You can't. Colin White 5 goals, 7 assists. Eric Stahl 7 goals, 7 assists. They are not getting any production. They're getting Leaf level productions from their bottom 6. This is not sustainable. And it's if this keeps going the way it is, they're really gonna fall out of this playoff spot. And I think they'll be eliminated by March. They won't be in that late season push if they keep up at this rate. So we'll see.
23 goals for Verhaeghe.
That's pretty good, but he's been playing top line minutes with Tkachuk and Barkov. Like, whenever it's not like Reinhart, Bennett, or like Bennett's taking a little step back this year. Reinhart was cool in the beginning. He's been better lately. It's just like
Lundell hasn't really taken a step forward. I think a lot of people thought he was going to.
So it's just like a lot of the players that we looked at this Florida Panthers team, like these low key guys on Florida that we're like, like what a hype bottom six, like what a hype like supporting cast, like but like behind Barkov and Huberdeau last year, they had a ton of fantasy relevant players. This year, you can't roster a Florida Panther without feeling bad about it. There's not really a lot of good options other than Brandon Montour.
Other than Tkachuk and Barkov, and then Montour's been great. 40 points in 47 games. Awesome.
Which it's
really
just
nice
like
to see.
That, but that's the biggest thing for the Florida Panther for the Florida Panthers is just they've got no bottom six. They got no depth this year, and it's not even like the personnel changed that much. It was just they're not showing up this year.
Yeah,
it's disappointing.
I think it's a big key difference, in getting goals from all four lines versus relying on only your first line really, and then some nights Reinhart
or
Sam Bennett, those kind of
Lundell.
guys show up. Yeah, but
no, it's like that's the same issue the Leafs have always had, where it's
they're 23, 21, and 5, so not crazy good, not crazy bad. I just think
they're minus,
that's what needs to be addressed with that team.
Minus 4 goal differential.
Depth scoring. Depth scoring.
Their minus 4 goal differential would be a lot better right now if they just got 10 extra goals from 5 different guys. Like, that's 2 goals per guy, and that's it. And then they'd be plus 6 in the goal differential right now if they played the exact same hockey, except they had a bit better bottom half.
Mm-hmm.
That's my take on it.
And you and I both know, Oilers and Leafs fans, it can be tough to get those depth scores when you do rely on that top 6, and when you pay your top 6 especially. They got money tied to Reinhart, Barkov, Tkachuk. Other than that, though, they'll have to pay Lundell. I mean, they might have bridged him, but
I mean, he's not playing his way into a big contract.
Use the money that you're gonna have from getting rid of Bob. 10 mil to him or whatever it is.
10 mil.
I think you could distribute that a lot better in the forward column, and even D too. Like, they have Montour, Ekblad, even Gustav Forsling's pretty solid. And then it's like Gudas. But they did lose Uyghur. Yeah, Gudas isn't gonna stick around forever. So yeah, I think just they have the players up front to be a good team. They just need to fill out the roster a little bit better, and then the Panthers can become a good team again. Because last year, were they President's Trophy last year? Or was
they were up?
I think they might have
been.
I think they might have been.
Who did they play in the first round last year? It was
Capitals.
Yep. So yeah, they would have been, because it was Leafs, Lightning, and then the Bruins were the top wild card. So wow, yeah, a little bit of a fall off, but that's just exactly what you see from your depth just vanishing in an instant. It's sad,
and
but
not getting 100-point season from Huberdeau last year. Uyghur had a great year. Ekblad had a great year. It seemed like last year everything was just clicking for them.
It did. So. It really did. But this is a
mediocrity.
Team. I mean, this is a team I want you to introduce. It's got more roots, more ties to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time coming to have this team not be below 500 at this point in the season, and it's not the year. This could be, maybe not for a playoff push deep in the playoffs, but to get there at least would be awesome to see. And that's the 4th place team in the Atlantic Division, Buffalo Sabres.
Shout out.
Yeah, led behind their new
superstar
franchise forward, I guess. Call him what you want. Tage Thompson, he's got 32 goals, 31 assists, 63 points in 46 games, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, just the 25-year-old forward, just like, I mean, he came out last season, but like this is his I don't even know how to describe this season.
This is last year was not a fluke season. This is paying me $7 million a year is gonna make our GM look like a genius. People were kind of questioning that in the offseason, and now in hindsight, it's probably one of the best contracts in the NHL, especially for this year.
It looks like a repeat Draisaitl.
Talking about one of the best contracts in the league, flip it to one of the worst. Jeff Skinner, who's making $9 million a year. I'd want to bring him up for good reason. 46 points in 43 games. He's more than a point per game player, and 19 goals. He's been a big part of why the Sabres have been able to win games. Another reason, Dylan Cozens, he's breaking out this year as well, which is really nice to see.
Huge.
16 goals, 26 assists, 42 points in 46 games. You love to see it. Rasmus Dahlin, 53 points in 45 games. It definitely deserves more Norris talk. I don't really know who the Norris people are saying Erik Karlsson. We'll get into Erik Karlsson.
It's tough to pick him, but yeah,
we'll get into Erik Karlsson. But and then Alex Tuch also above a point per game. So that's 4 guys who have above a point per game, and then Dylan Cozens pretty close there.
Yeah, sniffing around it. And then right after that, you have Olofsson too, with 22 goals in 46 games.
22 goals. Yeah, he's just a pure goal scorer. Owen Power, though, he scored his first goal of the season last night, which was an OT winner.
Yeah.
He does so much more than produce offensively.
He's plus 10. I think that's the beauty
of it. I think that's the beauty of him and Dahlin together. They bring up the best in each other. Power is able to be that, they don't play together, obviously. They're not on the same pairing, but I'm just saying for that defense, Power is able to be that, QB in the sense of, things are a little bit calmer when he's on the ice. He can take care of things on both ends of the ice, and he's just a really solid defenseman. Whereas Dahlin now has been able to, really flourish offensively. We've obviously seen the offensive player that he can be in years past, and he's had really good years past. But, now that he's above a point per game player, I feel like he still isn't getting that respect that he deserves. Rasmus Dahlin could honestly argue to be a top 5 defenseman in the league after this year, and I don't even think that's crazy.
Yeah.
No doubt. It's been really exciting to watch. Dahlin's got 39 assists, 14 goals from a defenseman too.
Incredible.
He'll probably
stuff.
He'll hit 20, which I don't know when the last time that happened was. And then Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen as well. Stats aren't crazy.
I was gonna bring up that the number one thing about this team is their goaltending. It's not what it needs to be. I mean, 3 goalies with almost identical amount of games played, 17, 18, and 12. And
well, Comrie got hurt. It was Comrie and Anderson at the start of the year. Comrie gets hurt. Pekka Luukkonen gets the call up. He's been 12-5-1.
So the team is goalie,
playing really well behind or in front of him. And he's a young future piece. They also have Devon Levi, the Canada World Juniors goalie a few years ago. So a decent goalie system when you look at. Craig Anderson's not the answer, obviously. Comrie's not the answer, but Pekka Luukkonen and Levi could be a good future tandem.
Yeah, not bad. Winners, hopefully.
But I think
not horrible.
And the way the team's been scoring, they were number 1 in the league in goals per game at some point. I don't think they're still there, but when you're able to score a lot of goals, your goalies, their stats might take a hit, but you're still able to win games.
So then we get
Leafs and Oilers fans know that.
Yeah. So then we move on to our top 3 teams, our playoff teams, and I'm pretty sure the teams that are going to be the playoff locks, unless, the Lightning do a little slipping. But in my opinion, the playoff locks in this division, so we'll go for the 3rd seed, the Tampa Bay Lightning. I mean, the fatigue of this team being as good as it is starting to set in, of Kucherov has 66 points in 45 games. Who cares? Mm-hmm. I mean, like Stammers has 23
Braden
goals,
Point, 27
54.
goals.
It's just I haven't heard a single headline about the Lightning this year.
Yeah.
And no reason. They've just been doing their thing. The machine just keeps turning. It's good. But, it's not the Lightning. It's just, there's the Lightning. They're good again. There's Vasilevsky. He's the best goalie in the world, in my opinion. Still doing his thing.
I think when you make 3 Stanley Cup Finals in a row, people really don't care what you do in the regular season.
Yeah,
Simple.
It's exactly where we are. Yeah, they're not gonna have any award winners, nothing like that. It's just
One thing I do want to mention, though, is 18 goals and 39 points from Brandon Hagel. He's been very good.
He has been.
People were thinking they gave up a little too much at the deadline last year, but he's proving this year why they gave up that big package to go out and get him. Nick Paul, also 16 goals. So you're getting double-digit goals from guys that aren't, your big names. And then Ross Colton with 9.
Yep, Killorn with 14 still.
Yeah.
And
he's a top 6 guy.
He's a top 6 guy, but it's still Killorn, and he has to fill a big hole that Palat left. So it's like,
yeah,
he still has a big role to play.
I don't even know who this guy is. Shout out Nick Perbix. He's got 4 goals. He's
been playing a bit of center. I'm pretty sure for them, where it's like, I'll pull up when he was drafted. I think that
would make sense.
Yeah, 2017 draft, 6th round pick, 169th overall.
Yeah, and then Hedman's been a little quiet.
Quiet in the goals department, but he's still 31 points in 42 games.
Solid.
With his D partner, Mikhail Sergachev, having the year of his career with 31 points in 43 games. Like, yeah. I can't knock Hedman for not scoring goals while his team is performing and his D partner is having his best season of his career. I can't knock Hedman for that. He's still just as good. And his 24-year-old defense partner is having the best year of his career.
Sergachev, I think that torch, still a few more years until Sergachev's the number 1 defenseman, but going from Hedman to Sergachev, you can't really ask for a better, passing.
He's 6 assists away and 1 goal away from tying last season, which was both career bests. So no reason why he's not going to have
Vaz
extreme career.
Doing Vaz things.
He's the best goalie in the world, and we're just bored of it now, I think.
20-12-1, 9-16, 255. Hasn't got a shutout this year.
That's surprising. He's usually pretty good for that, but I mean, once you get to his level of continued excellence, a 2.55 goals against average. That's all it needs to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the Lightning. The same old. And they are going to play and beat the Leafs in the first round. So the second seed in the Atlantic Division, the winner of the second seed in the Atlantic Division, I think, unless they slip, the Toronto Maple Leafs. They are not passing Boston at this point, and I've accepted that. And from the looks of it, we're not really going to fall down much further than that from this.
No, they've been playing solid.
Second team.
I think the Leafs have been really good this year, and the thing that's impressed me the most is the back end. You know what their offense is going to bring every night, but there were a lot of question marks around the goaltending, and I don't know. I feel like it was a story in the first month of the season, and I haven't seen a single article, social media post, anything made about Samsonov or Murray.
Nothing bad. Yeah, nothing bad. Oh, it's only been praise.
And knock on wood, it's regular season. Maybe they let you down in the playoffs. Probably do, but right now, Samsonov, he's 15-4-2 with a 9.20 and 2.21 goals against average.
It is
2 shutouts. He's been great. I liked Samsonov in Washington.
It's Samsonov revenge
tour. A few years ago, I liked him. He was bad last year.
Yeah, unfortunately bad because
causing the Capitals to give up on him.
Yeah.
Which was good for the Leafs, and who knows, maybe he's the future goalie.
He could be, but then another guy who I still don't like his contract, but his play I have liked. Matt Murray, 11-5 with 2 overtime losses, 273 goals against, and a 911 save percentage. That's my best reaction of this is Matt Murray.
Yeah, we kind of dogged on him in the preseason.
I know every Leafs fan I know dogged on him, and by extension dogged on Dubas, but it's to get this guy as an extension of other pieces, he was a throw-in. We got other pieces with Matt Murray, and now he's been a better goalie. Part of that deal was I think his cap was part of picks. I think we got a pick to get his contract too. So it was for him to be doing this, for him to be a 273, Vaz is a 255 goals against, and he's a 273. It's it's not crazy for that to be said, like for that to be in the same sentence. He's been better than a lot of other goalies that we've talked about so far on these other teams.
It's been a weird goaltending year. Writing down the stats for these guys,
for sure.
lot of them sub 900 save percentages.
And then you get Samsonov and Matt Murray both with plus 910s.
Mm-hmm. No, the Leafs have been playing their most complete hockey, I want to say.
Yep.
In my lifetime.
In my lifetime as well.
Does this mean this is the best Leafs team of my lifetime? I don't know. Does this mean this is the first Leafs team in my lifetime to win a playoff or to
win a
well, conscious fandom. 2004 doesn't really count. But yeah.
I don't know.
Who knows? I think again, with teams like this, it's cool, but prove it to me in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And we'll later in the season we'll get a lot. Be a lot more into the Leafs, a lot more focused into the Leafs, just because they're such a polarizing team when it comes to that first round of the playoffs. In the last few years, I've picked them to at least win a round.
I have.
So I'm hoping it happens this season, because if I recall, I had them losing to the Rangers in the conference finals. So
yeah, I'm a little bit more skeptical, where it's like, this is one of the better Leafs teams I've watched, just on a basis of everyone's performing. Some of my notes for this team, if I could find them, were just like, it's different, but yet the structure for this team is still identical to every single year. And it's a team that's built to win a game. It's not built to win a series. It's a team where if you go up against another top team in the league, they're going to find the holes in this team and they're going to exploit them and beat this team. But in a one game, like if we have to go play Detroit and then we go fly over to Tampa, I like our odds against Tampa right after playing Detroit, and then we have to go play Ottawa the next day. Like, I don't mind that so much, but if we have to play Tampa and then play Tampa and then play Tampa and then play Tampa, we're going to lose, because they're going to exploit our weaknesses, and the Leafs have done nothing to address those weaknesses.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the Bills earlier. I think the Leafs are similar to the Bills in the fact of, one, okay, cool when you watch them in the regular season.
Yeah.
But what's going to happen in the playoffs? And then two, also can we get the hell out of the Atlantic Division and not have to play Boston and Tampa in the first two rounds of the playoffs?
Yeah, like I'd love to be anywhere else but the Atlantic Division right now. Except for the Metro. Metro is also a bloodbath.
East is tough. I mean, you could look at pretty much any division. I mean, Pacific's a little bit weaker, but every division's got contending teams. But I definitely think Boston and Tampa are two playoff-proven teams that it's going to be tough. Just
and
because they play with a little bit of cockiness when they play against the Leafs in the playoffs, too. It's kind of like they expect...
It's frustrating to watch. But it's like, if the Leafs were in the West, we'd be the best team in the West right now. Simple as that. We'd be facing the worst wildcard team. Mm-hmm. Which is like...
Yeah.
And just because we're in the East, and especially like we wouldn't be ahead of the Hurricanes or Boston in the Leafs, so or in the East, so it's like we're screwed no matter what. But yeah, that's the Leafs. And then my last question about the Leafs before we move on to the top team, question/concern. Morgan Riley is. This is just a statement at this point. Morgan Riley is not the defenseman for this team. He's not the defenseman where it's like, we're going to win a playoff series with him. He's not good enough.
I think they can move on.
They have to move on from Morgan Riley. And his contract at this point is just not good anymore. He's overpaid for what he does. He doesn't have a goal this year. And he's just constantly regressing. It's frustrating. It's frustrating at this point.
Sad to see.
From a 72-point, 20-goal scorer to 0 goals this year, and last year he was also very disappointing.
Yeah.
It's just
did have the injury this year.
Yeah, even then it's like he's been back, but like even then it's like I kind of liked the Leafs more without him. I like the Leafs more without Muzzin. Like those things. It's like the Leafs look better when it's like Giordano and Sandin and Liljegren as our like main defensive pieces. Of course, TJ Brody.
Yeah. No, I do think it kind of makes the other guys step up a little bit more.
Well, and then the other biggest thing for me is the other biggest scary thing for me is when we trade for a guy like Connor Timmins, and in 17 games he has 11 assists and a goal, and he has 12 points in 17 games when Morgan Rielly has 21 points in 33 games with no goals. Like, similar production if you look at it just from paper. Of course, they play a different role, and Timmins had like a 3-assist game, so his stats are inflated. But like just on paper and the eye test,
3-assist games still happen.
It's just like it's frustrating to watch because it's just I know the inevitable's gonna happen with this team, and I hate to try to pin it on one guy every year, but like structurally, we can't change this forward group. We're kind of locked in. So the defensive core, the top.
Shout out to the forwards.
Shout out to the
having
forwards.
An amazing season.
Oh, Nylander's pressing his way out of Toronto. As soon as he gets a big boy contract, like as soon as this $6.9 million contract expires.
How many years is left on that?
I think only 2 or 3. I'll pull up the exact number. I'll tell you what year it
ends. He's got 26 goals, leading the team.
Yep.
Matthews with 25, which is not bad at all. But after 60 goals, he could be a little disappointed. But again, you're not a regular season team anymore.
His contract ends 2024, so next season. So
wow, 1 year after this.
Yeah.
Eek. If that doesn't kind of scare you a little bit as a Leafs fan.
Oh, it terrifies me. He's going to get over $10 million from someone. Mm-hmm. I think he's playing his way. I think he really is playing his way into one of the top players in the league. And there's no arguing it.
Tell me why I'm not surprised. I feel like this doesn't really happen in hockey as much, more so other sports. But I don't know why. And no offense to Nylander or anything like that, but I feel like he might just be that kind of guy to get a bag and then chill a little bit. You know?
Oh, for sure. He's gonna pull
I feel like a team's gonna be paying him $10+ million to get 70 points in 82 games.
I feel that. Oh, he'll be great, and he'll do it with skill and finesse. But
still, he's a highlight reel guy.
But sure. I really think I agree. It'll kind of be like what Nazem Kadri's doing this year on the Flames, except his wasn't an overpay like that. But you got a bag.
And then lastly, in the Atlantic, we have the juggernaut,
the
37-5-4 Bruins.
The NHL
only
on
9
pace,
losses, only 5 in regulation.
On pace for a NHL record 66 wins.
Yeah. And I mean, I wouldn't say they can't do it. They definitely can. They're favorites in every game they play, and they're one of the most complete rosters in the league. The Hampus Lindholm ad at the deadline last year has paid dividends.
What an incredible addition.
He was great. He was good while McAvoy was out. McAvoy now in the lineup though, 29 points in 33 games. Very, very solid.
Very solid.
Marchand missed a bit of time as well. 44 points in 38 games now. But Pasta, he's at 36 goals. 65 points in 46 games.
I think he's the second-ranked player in normal fantasy leagues.
He's been great.
Only behind David, of course.
He's already got 219 shots on the year.
Holy hell!
Which is pretty crazy. That means he's gonna break 350. We'll see. Maybe Boston doesn't break that record because they clinched the #1 seed in the East in the league with 10 games left on their record, and Marchand gets some games off, Bergeron gets some games off. Krejci coming out of retirement, 37 points in 41 games.
Yeah, it just like it's. I mean, I said it with the Lightning. It's just the machine keeps turning. It's unfair. It seems
like everything's going right for this team.
Oh, and then goaltending. If we're gonna talk about everything going right, you go right ahead. Linus Ullmark, owner.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say, bringing back my point of drafting a lot of Tim Stützle, hoping for that breakout season. I was a big Ullmark guy. I probably have him on, 9 out of 10 teams that I have.
God.
I don't have 10. I probably have him on like 5 of 8, but that's still a lot of stock to have for the goalie who is the Vezina winner.
Yeah, he is.
At this point,
30 games played on the season. He's or 29 games started. He's won the Vezina.
25, 2-1. I'm pretty sure no losses at home. I could be wrong.
I'm pretty sure second fastest goalie in NHL history to get 25 wins. Or it's either in NHL history or in Bruins history.
Either or.
Either or.
Bruins have a decorated history of goaltending.
Yeah.
Shout out Andrew Raycroft. And then a 938 and a 1.82 goals against average, 2 shutouts on the year. Doesn't compare to Husso's 3 shutouts.
So now we know the superior goalie.
Yeah. And I'm really happy. People thought it was going to be a split tandem with Swayman going into the year, but Ullmark, the former Sabre.
Yeah, they might have chose wrong.
Minions on his mask. I don't know if he still does, but I know he used to do that. He have minions on his mask. And then
then Swayman with 16 games started, 11 3-3. So and with a 2.26 goals against and a 916, like he's putting up starter numbers, and if he was on any other team, he'd be in consideration as a top 15, top 10 goalie, I think.
I think that's a great tandem.
Yeah,
I think
incredible.
A lot of people, and you can be like, oh, okay, well their numbers are both good. It's probably just because the team playing in front of them is crazy. It's like, I don't know. I think the goalies are probably why this team is the way it is.
They're so dependable. So dependable.
Like Linus Ullmark is not 25 2-1 with a 906 and a 2.7 goals against. Like he's under 2 goals against per game.
Yeah.
At 1.82, which is crazy. No one else I have listed here is even below. I think Samsonov at 2.21 is the second lowest goals against.
Even
average.
then, he's a legit split start guy. He's not like Ullmark that gets.
And then a 938, by far the best on this list of these 2 divisions. I'm not sure what the goalies from the other divisions are doing. Definitely nothing close to what Ullmark has been able to do this year. And then also he had a bit of an injury scare, and it hasn't affected him whatsoever.
Wow.
I remember he left the game, and then he missed a game or 2, and I was like, should have sold high on Ullmark, but it's a good thing I held on to him because it's hard to go wrong with Ullmark, and he's one of those guys too. Drawing it from a fantasy perspective, you can have that starter that you really love, but you're like, oh, they're playing against Tampa. Maybe I don't want to start him. Oh, they're playing against Colorado. Maybe I don't want to start him. It doesn't matter who this guy is playing. You're going to start Linus Ullmark every single night.
Yeah. Pasternak, heart considerations in any other year, he probably runs away with it. Any other year.
I think he's completely, a valid candidate.
I think he's definitely
he'll be a nominee.
Second. He's definitely locked up second place.
Yeah, I think
second or third place.
I'm trying to think of the Central. I don't think they have a Hart candidate in there.
No one from those teams. No, there's no Jason Robertson. He'd be not my number 1 from the Central. I think he's proved himself as the best player from that division right now. And then from the Metro, right now. From the Metro,
still taking a lot of guys over J-Rob, but
just at the moment it's J-Rob.
Yeah.
But like
no, he's been great. 32 goals, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's something insane. But yeah, Pasternak, any other year, he's my heart winner, but not this year. I think he's locked up number 2. And that's more or less the story of the Atlantic Division. A quick playoff just for me right now. I think Bruins would be facing either the Panthers, Sabres, or Islanders. They win that. Leafs Lightning is the and then Leafs Lightning is the main matchup, which
Leafs win. Maybe.
We'll see. But I don't like.
Too early to tell.
I don't like that whatsoever. But that's the Atlantic Division.
I think pretty much anything is too early to tell, other than Boston gonna probably be President's Trophy.
Yeah, understandable. So then we move on
with
to
a 12-point lead on the Leafs.
We move on to the Edmonton Oilers Pacific Division, which I'll let you take the reins for.
Starting from the bottom
at the hour mark of the recording.
Yeah, starting from the bottom, and very very bottom, we got the Anaheim Ducks. Zegras, the leading goal scorer with 17. A little bit of a bright spot, but I don't know. I feel like I'm not as high on Zegras as a like a
Franchise
franchise player.
piece. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I don't
don't.
think he's that. I think he's a good complementary piece and a good top six scoring forward, but definitely
People
not the answer.
people
I
want
think
to put
I think a
him.
Bedard would really benefit this
Oh,
team.
so much. And Bedard being the number one
And he's
guy.
one of the that's one of the destinations where I wouldn't mind him going.
I feel like people like I don't know if this is something I've read online or if it's just something like it's just the vibe I get from the way people talk about Zegras, but I feel like the culture around hockey wants to peg him as the next Patrick Kane. Like
Yeah.
they really think he's gonna be that guy, and just like
I think
I
well, he's
struggle.
very marketable.
He's marketable and he has the skill
He's
set.
the worst player to get the cover.
Oh, by far, by far, him or
Other than Nurse.
PK.
Yeah, but even then,
PK was pretty good in that Predators year.
Yeah, no,
So-
but yeah, the worst cover ever. One thing I wanted
Cover
to note,
looked cool, but
John Gibson, and Anthony Stolarz, their tandem are both at above 4 goals against.
and they're both
Per
in
game.
the 890s. That's so horrible. This is my
He's rocking
first
a 410.
time.
He's rocking a 410.
Updated stats 411. I raised you one with updated stats from last night. I think,
I think it was just
or it's
the
just the
score
minutes
versus NHL.com.
Yeah, I think just the minutes played. That's how it evens out. But he's rocking a 410 on the dot, and then Stolarz has a 405.
Yeah, that's awful.
And then their save percentages are 890 for Stolarz and then 895 for Gibson. Like, this is
One
like
shout out for Gibson though. It was
Shout
against the
out.
Stars.
how?
It was against the Stars.
How does he? Does J Rob not play?
When I was doing my notes, I was like, oh, okay, John Gibson has one shutout, and I went in their schedule to make sure that it wasn't a 1-0 shootout loss type shutout.
Oh,
Because
Yeah.
I feel like that's a pretty Gibson shutout.
That
if
would
I'm
be.
being honest.
I mean, knowing
Um,
Gibson's career,
But
up
no, it was
till
a
this
2-0
point.
win over Dallas. Probably their best win all season.
Yeah. First thing I'm gonna
Ryan
mention for this
Strome.
team. Oh God, I don't even. Okay, before I mention Ryan Strome, I just want to say Jamie Drysdale, rest up, come back next season. He's gonna be a beast next season. But man, that's unfortunate. He's missing this season. Maybe for his mental state, not unfortunate, because Ryan Strome's career looks over right now. Oh my goodness, that might be an overreaction. But
Little
like,
bit.
I'm on their skaters list, and I have it zoomed out as like I can see top at most top 10. He's not in here.
For points? On the Ducks? Nah, he's 5th on the team.
5th? Oh, there he is. There he is. Yeah. Oh, who? I gotta look up because they dropped. Or they didn't drop, but they never signed Sonny Milano, and I think he's gonna have a very similar amount
He
of
might be in Washington.
points. He's in Washington, yeah, and he's been actually doing really good in Washington, which is the surprising part. If I could pull up their stats, I'll let you know.
One thing that I do find interesting about the Ducks is I think John Klingberg is going to be a very nice deadline piece.
Yeah,
And put it up to the GM of the Ducks, Pat Verbeek, but get as much as you can. I feel like it's rare where like you can get a number 1 power play defenseman at the deadline. I can't really think who, because I feel like teams hold on to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Klingberg. It'd be cool to see if his new home could be like a place of stay. Maybe he goes back to Dallas.
maybe back to Dallas, yeah, with how successful they are. Maybe Edmonton, but
Yeah,
with the money
he's been
situation, who
rumored
knows? Back to what I was saying. Sonny Milano has 21 points in 36 games. They let him
Pretty
walk
good.
for free. No one signed him all off season, and he signed in the middle of training camps. Like,
Yeah. We'll get to the Caps.
yeah, we'll get to the caps, but like that's 21 points. That's 4 less than Ryan Strome.
Yeah. I mean, very, very.
Very.
Yeah, I don't even know how we're still talking about the Ducks. Hopefully they get Bedard.
Oh gosh.
Because I wouldn't mind seeing
Another team. This is a team. I don't. Did they have their
Bedard
pick?
plus Zegras. I think would sell a lot.
That would. Next team. Another team I'd like to see Bedard wear the jersey
I might be
of?
seeing. I think I'm gonna see the Ducks live, in Dallas.
In Dallas.
Yeah, in just over 2 weeks. So
Hype.
yeah.
So
if it's a 2-0 Ducks win, I will be disappointed. Although
I hope it is a 1-0 Ducks loss in the shootout.
Yeah.
That would be the right in my heart. That'd be game of the year. So moving on to the next team in the Pacific.
The game of the night.
The San Jose Sharks, a team where it's like I don't even know if they have their first round pick this year because of how bad they are at trading. But I'd love to see Bedard in a Sharks jersey. That'd be a really hype jersey to see, and him playing with some really cool pieces. They have cool pieces, but wow, this team's so bad as well.
Mm-hmm. I think it's the back end that really prohibits this Sharks team from really doing anything. I mean, obviously Erik Karlsson's having a great year. He's got I can pull it up right here. 15 goals, 47 assists, 62 points in 48 games. So he might lead defensemen in points. I don't think that makes him the Norris in my eyes.
It doesn't.
But I mean, -6. Is that leading the team? No. Well,
it's close.
No,
-4.
Jacob Megna. But like
Nico
pretty
Sturm.
good for the Sharks team. Yeah, I think if Kaapo Kähkönen can be the starter, because I think Reimer's probably maybe moved at the deadline.
He's definitely getting moved at the deadline.
Which I would like to see. The last time he was moved at the deadline was to the Sharks. Or I don't know if that's for sure, because he might have, moved around Carolina, Florida even. But yeah, he was on the Sharks.
He went Florida to Sharks to Carolina to Sharks, I think.
Mm-hmm. No, but honestly, I think if Kaapo Kähkönen, their goalie, can step up and be like okay, and they make a couple good signings in free agency, maybe they're able to unload that Karlsson contract. But with the current forwards they have, Timo Meier, Logan Couture, those sorts of guys, I feel like it's not even crazy to say that of the bottom feeder teams, throw a Bedard on this team, they could be a lot better just from one player.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly I don't know, add Bedard to this team.
Tomas Hertl still. They have
Hertl,
Barabanov, who's still a good winger. Kevin LeBlanc.
Been very good.
Eventually, Marc-Edouard Vlasic won't be there anymore in his contract. And then just fill out a bottom six, call up some young defensemen, and then hopefully Kaapo Kähkönen takes that step up. Connor Bedard added to that top six. I mean, they'd be fighting for wild card.
I think that'd be perfect for him too, just because with that core-ish that's there with Hertl, Couture, Benino probably won't be there then. But I'm just saying those guys are pretty good veteran guys, for a young forward coming to the league. Whereas if he were to go to Anaheim,
oh my goodness.
not to say that he wouldn't flourish, because he could have a great career. I think he's going to have an amazing career. I think he's going to be one of the best 5 players in the next 10 years in the NHL, 10, 15 years. But I feel like if he goes to Anaheim, he might have a slow start to his career just because of the pieces around him. I want to see him go to a team where there's pieces around him. Not only, he goes to Anaheim, he'll play with Zegras, McTavish. They might, fire it up and get some points. But in terms of success, I feel like I do want to see him learn under someone, because
the best guy he'd have to learn under would be Adam Hendrick if he went to the Ducks for next year.
Mm-hmm.
So then the last thing for James Reimer, it was Toronto, then San Jose for 8 games, then Florida, then Carolina, then San Jose again. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty close.
I don't know what's at the deadline or what, but
yeah.
Moving on to another team who's disappointed quite a bit.
Quite the talking point as of recently.
Mm-hmm. With the firing and the handling of it. Of Bruce Boudreau, the 6th place team in this division, the Vancouver Canucks. I mean, they had a rough start to the season. It hasn't really gotten much better.
A rough start to the season. It hasn't gotten. It's been a rough season.
Yeah.
No start. This is just been horrible.
Demko was pretty bad. He's hurt now, I want to say.
He's been on IR since, he's been on IR since.
Spencer Martin, their current starter.
And Collings.
He is, shout out.
Shout out. Blackhawks
Spencer
legend.
Martin walking a 8.77.
Oh, no.
Need I say more?
Oh, no. In
8.77.
24 games started.
This guy is putting up some 1940s goalie numbers. This guy's gonna win the Vezina in 1942 with that 8.77.
Yeah, I'm playing
zero shutouts.
NHL 1942. But they at least have some bright spots on forward. Mm-hmm. Like Elias Pettersson, Bo Horvat scores goals. Nice.
Yeah, Bo at the deadline is going to be interesting as well. He adds so much to a team.
So much.
I feel like he fits into that category of just like the guys you want to have on your team. Obviously, there's lots of guys in the NHL you want to have on your team, but he's just a guy that plays 100-foot or 200-foot game.
Yeah,
and he's got 30 goals on the year, the best scoring year of his career. I think he can flourish in any offense, really. I mean, they do have good pieces around him, passing him the puck. Shout out Andrei Kuzmenko, 41 points in 45 games, 19 goals, coming over from Russia.
The Kuzmeister.
The expectations were high, and I'd say he's honestly been probably the bright point of the season for them.
Yeah, him or just Quinn Hughes continued excellence just as an offensive defenseman. But yeah, like other than that,
and outside of the power play too, this like we talk about Florida not having depth scoring. Who the hell is getting goals other than the top 6 on this team? Like Mikheyev's got 12.
Yeah, Mikheyev's got 12. Brock Besser's got 9.
Garland's
got 8. Dakota Joshua with 6.
Dakota Joshua.
And then Sheldon Dries with 5. And then it goes to Quinn Hughes with 4. I think that's the end of the top 10.
Yeah. Quinn Hughes at 4. And then
Quinn
Jack Stadnicka is tied with that as well. But he split games in Boston.
It's incredible how dumpster fire this year has been.
The former 10th overall pick, Vasily Podkolzin, with 3 points in 16 games. I was expecting more from him.
Yeah.
Maybe under Tocchet he gets more minutes, gets some opportunity. I mean, he might be hurt too. I have no idea. This Canucks team has just been not even worth a look.
You know, a thought I had semi-recently was like Brian Burke drafting both the Sedin twins in the same draft set the Canucks up for no changes for the next 20 plus years.
Yeah,
like since they've built around the Sedins and didn't win, this has been the epitome of just mediocre, samey, garbage team. For the last 10 years, they've done nothing.
On my mind about this Canucks team, though.
What's that?
They are a team that I would love. I mean, I like the Canucks. I want to see them be good. I'm not in love with this current team. I would love them to hit a breaking point and sell everybody. Imagine seeing Petey on a new team, Besser on a new team. JT Miller gets a change of scenery once again.
A second change of scenery.
I think in that case, you probably keep Quinn Hughes.
Yeah, he is kind of the guy.
I think Petey's expendable. It'd be cool. It'd be cool to see him somewhere else. To be honest,
it would be really cool to see him.
And then Bo Horvat's obviously going to get moved.
He's going to get moved before breaking point. Like, he's already reached his.
And then I mean, we'll see what the team does under Tocchet. Typically, the Canucks do pretty well under the new coach. Like,
they're a second half team.
Oh, new coach, things are fixed.
Exactly for that point is I read an article that was like, there's a new air in Vancouver with the new coach, or like practice already feels different, and it's like, BS. That's BS.
Give it a month.
Yeah. Like under Bruce, they went undefeated for like his first like 10 games or so. It wasn't 10, but like, you know. They went undefeated for a while under Bruce, where it was like, and now we're here, and now Bruce is gone.
I hope Bruce gets another shot, just because he's a fun guy. I don't know if he does. Probably not, considering this is a very fillable void in terms of a head coach vacancy.
And another thing that's really funny is to read the last 10 years of
what was wrong with Travis Green? what was wrong with Travis Green? I liked him.
Yeah, I don't know why he got fired.
He brought them to
The
a win away from beating Vegas in the bubble.
Yeah,
And then in that case, you set up a Dallas Vancouver conference finals.
and he hasn't
That'd been pretty
coached.
cool.
He hasn't coached anywhere else too. At least
I remember he was
Yeah.
he was the coach in Utica, the AHL team. He was loved there and then brought up to the NHL. I love when teams do that, when they
Yeah.
bring their AHL guy.
That's what they
and
did
then-
with Keefe with the Leafs
yeah.
and
then
Woodcroft with
also,
the Oilers.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was in Bakersfield. Yeah.
But I'm just on Wikipedia here. Something really fun to do, or something that I saw in a tweet earlier, was just if you go through the last 10 years of coaches, it's just crazy for the Canucks, where it's like every single coach was pretty well tenured. Like the
And the
90s were a bit weird, but it's
some notable names too.
Yeah, it's Alan
Like
Vigneault.
Torts, Vigneault,
Uh,
Boudreau.
Here's how it goes. It goes Alan
Give me the
Vigneault,
list.
2013. Torts fired in 2014. Willie Desjardins fired in 2017. Travis Green, their best coach, I think, in the last 10 years, fired in 2021. Bruce Boudreau fired in 2023. And now we have Rick Tocchet. So it's like...
Rick the Rocket Tocchet.
So I give them 2 years.
Yeah.
I think they fire Tocchet before they blow up the team. That's how bad this management is.
Yeah.
That's how bad this management is.
I think you hold on to
I would hold on to Tocchet if I'm blowing up the team. Be like, hey, man, be here for the new regime. Let them know, like, hey, times are changing. I was here with the last group, and now I'm here with you guys. Let's make this better. I don't trust the Canucks management enough.
The thing is, too, is say what you want about the Pacific Division in terms of if it's good, if it's not. Probably the weakest division in the league. I feel like we can agree on that.
Yep.
But when you look at the top teams, like,
they're good.
The Canucks don't play the same way as them at all. Like, the way that Vegas plays, the way that Seattle played this year, the way that LA plays, you know, the Canucks aren't going to be able to compete with them unless they fix things.
Yeah.
So, we'll see.
Well, yeah, and then it's funny just looking at the points just in general for the Pacific Division, where it's like Canucks are at 39, and then the Flames, who are the next best team, who we will get into, are 55.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a jump.
We can go right into them.
Yeah, might as well.
The Flames,
I
mean, another team where it's kind of just like
it's been disappointing.
You don't know. It's a little bit of a disappointing year. I think, you know. Yeah.
I don't.
23, 16, and 9. Probably a better record shown than what the team actually is.
For me, the biggest thing is just the way the team feels. Last year they had guys where their plus minus, like, it felt like everyone's plus minus was plus 30. This year their best plus minus is plus 14, and then it goes to plus 10, and then it's plus 8. Like, and these are mostly for defensemen or like Michael Backlund.
Mm-hmm. I think Huberdeau, 32 points in 45 games,
9 goals.
Not what. Yeah. But I said this in a preseason episode, you know, you can't just lose a guy like Matt Tkachuk and expect things to, you know, carry on normally, just because he was the heart and soul of that team. I thought he was going to be the captain. I thought he was going to be a Flame for life.
Yeah.
But thank God he's out of the Pacific Division and out of the Battle of Alberta. Now I can begin to appreciate the game of Matthew Tkachuk instead of being a big hater, which I used to be.
It is as a very fun to watch him play.
But yeah, I mean, you bring in Kadri, cool. I think this team, and this might be an exaggeration, but I think this team patched up holes of a sinking ship with duct tape. You know,
yeah, it feels like it.
I feel like people
Beakers
totally overacted. Craig Button's cup pick. Shout out Craig Button, TSN's lead draft analyst. I mean, He should stick to the prospects.
Yeah.
And
Mackenzie, yeah. Speaking of duct tape, Mackenzie Weegar, he a piece of duct tape right now. What goal and 12 assists?
Terrible.
+2 on the season. It's just like he's not hitting like he used to. He's not blocking shots like he used to. It's like Chris Tanev is everything Mackenzie Weegar was defensively, and then not offensively, but it's like Weegar was at least supposed to get assists.
Yeah.
He's not doing it.
Weegar was,
yeah,
maybe the most over-drafted player in fantasy.
Oh,
I think people were pegging, people were taking Weegar. Oh, okay, I got my number 1D, got my number 2D.
Yeah, like McAvoy, like people were picking him over McAvoy, and now we get to this point in the season, and it's like even with the injury, McAvoy's been a far more valuable guy, and even McAvoy, like Lindholm as well.
Lindholm's been pretty good. Well, it was convenient. While you were talking about McAvoy, I was talking about Elias Lindholm.
Oh yes,
the Flames' leading scorer, 42 points in 46 or 47 games. Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Obviously, not having as good of a year as he did last year. It's pretty hard to replicate what they did last year. And then Nazem Kadri, their leading goal scorer, with 19.
Surprising season out of Tyler Toffoli.
Yeah.
40 points,
he's been pretty
48
nice.
Games, 17
he's
goals,
a streaky player,
assists.
He's a streaky player, which I feel like a lot of the players on this team are, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just been a streaky team.
But yeah, I mean, their record's not awful.
Not awful, but it's not good enough.
They can push for a wild card. They can push for a wild card, but they were the number 1 team in the West last year.
No, just
Pacific. In the Pacific for sure.
Colorado locked up the one.
Did they? Regular season though?
Did they play in the first round? The
Flames? Who'd they play?
No, the King or
the Flames beat the Flames beat the Stars in the first round. The Preds.
Okay.
They beat the Preds.
They beat the Preds. So maybe it was the Flames. They were just an incredible regular season team. The other thing to mention is their goaltending. It's been fine, but like
Vladar's been better numbers wise. I know you're paying Markstrom, but I would like to see Vladar get more starts.
Yeah, or at least get the minutes closer. The minutes right now are 1,815 for Markstrom in his 32 starts, and then 1,000 for Vladar in 16 starts. So it's like, I'd like to see that more evened up, split more starts.
Like I honestly see that, and that's probably gonna make Markstrom play better too if he's playing less games. I could see that. Right now it's at a 75% starts go to Markstrom. Bring that down to 60. I think the team's probably a little bit better long term.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about the Flames anymore.
Moving on. We'll move on to the
Oilers.
next team. Another team where it's like. You said the goalies, if they played one goalie a lot less, they might be a bit better. I don't know. This is interesting.
Stuart Skinner, an all-star this year. Credit the Oilers fan base and the fan vote. The reason he got in. He's been having a good year. But Jack Campbell's starting to pick it up a little more. That was a disastrous, signing at the start of the year. But he was known to be streaky. And in hindsight, I'd much rather him figure it out in the second half of the year than the opposite, which is kind of what happened during his years in Toronto, where he's the Vezina winner, halfway through the season, and then,
Yeah. Oh yeah. It just falls off. Just the cliff appears and he doesn't stop. But it looks like he's climbing up that cliff instead, and he looks like he's settling in a lot more.
And the Oilers in general are clicking a lot more as of late. They're probably, I mean,
my jaw drops
figuring it out
every single time I read McDavid's stats. Yeah. Every time.
In 48 games, Connor McDavid has 40 goals and 48 assists for 88 points. Keep in mind, Jamie Benn won the Art Ross with 88 points in 2015.
Yep.
McDavid is going to break that tonight. McDavid, wait.
Yeah, I hope so.
Are the Oilers playing right now?
January 24th. It's 8:50.
No, they don't play tonight.
Yeah. Okay. So he'll probably break that tomorrow night.
Tomorrow. Oilers versus Blue Jackets.
Oh, he's breaking it. He's getting 90 points tomorrow. Book it right now. He's gonna have a 2-point night. It's just this is greatness.
Tomorrow's actually quite the night. You got Rangers Leafs too.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a great game.
Stars Hurricanes will be a good one too.
But it's just like.
Yeah, you're getting some live reactions. Sabres up 3-0 in the first period against the Blues. Skinner with a goal and assist. Tage Thompson 2 assists.
Just Connor McDavid, I had this thought the other day. I don't know, because Crosby's played longer. But like,
no, I mean
he's better than.
I will argue that Connor McDavid is the greatest player of all time.
Yeah, I would argue that point.
I would argue that. I think Gretzky probably has the best career, and he has those stats that are going to be very hard to come close to. But in the modern day game, no one dominates their sport like, you know, and the NHL too. You have your dominant players in the last 10, 15 years. You know, you have the Crosbys, you have the Ovies. They have their impact on the game. But McDavid has like a basketball like impact on.
He has a Curry like it's a Curry like impact. It's here's my comparison for McDavid versus like Gretzky. Gretzky is the LeBron of hockey. Did everything he ever needed to do and did it for a long time. And now Connor McDavid's gonna come in and he might be the Jordan. We'll see. But just like from an individual aspect, the individual domination in a modern game, like if we put McDavid in the WHL and then he moved on and played in the NHL, like just like Connor McDavid, he would have put up and current McDavid with the back in the day training and equipment, but his current mindset and his current skill set, he would have put up 400 points, no doubt in my mind. If Gretzky was putting up 215 points in a season, Connor McDavid with this skill set, with back in the day training and equipment, is still putting up 400 points, and you can't prove that wrong, because it's super hypothetical.
Yeah,
but
and
like,
then shout out Draisaitl as well.
Shout out Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Draisaitl's incredible, but I think Nuge deserves 73
more points in 46 games, and then Nuge with 57 and 48. I was saying this to you earlier that. There's 4 20-goal scorers on the Oilers. Nuge with 22, Hyman with 24, who, thank you, Leafs. Draisaitl with 28, and then McDavid with 40. McDavid with 40 on 200 shots, so 1 in every 5 McDavid shots.
20 shooting percentage. The only guy who doesn't have a ridiculous shooting percentage is like Hyman at 13.
Mm-hmm. And that's because a lot of Hyman shots too are just like the rebound, like jam it at the pad type, type Hyman stuff.
The best Hyman
which you love. No, and then McDavid too. He's been stepping up. Like he's been playing 22, almost 23 minutes a game. He's been penalty killing. He's got 2 shorthanded points on the year.
It's not fair.
Yeah.
No, I saw a thing.
I think another heart for McDavid is.
It's booked. It's booked. It's just like Olmark's won the Hart or Vesna, and McDavid's won the Hart. Something I saw the other day is McDavid and Matthews the modern day Crosby and Ovi, and my response to that was yes, but McDavid is better than Crosby and Ovi is better than Matthews. That's my take on that, and I
feel like that's agreeable
because. For me, Ovechkin's the greatest goal scorer to ever play hockey, and once he passes Gretzky, it'll be undisputed.
Yeah, one day we'll make an episode. Yeah, we're gonna have the honor of in episode, being able to give kudos. I mean, knock on wood that he's able to play as many games as it takes. But yeah, both Ovi and LeBron passing their respective their formers.
Guys. Yeah, But that was something I saw online, and that was my take for it.
Yeah, I mean, this Oilers team, I have faith in them to do well. Shout out Klim Kostin as well. I've been very pleased with him. Former first-round pick. He's got 9 goals, 13 points. in 32 games, which isn't crazy, but those 9 goals have been big.
He's the other guy that has the weird shooting percentage, 23.1, because he only has 39 shots.
He's only playing like 10 minutes a game. I saw in Oilers social media, Costin is what we want Puyarvi to be. Which is sad as it is, but I think Puyarvi's days are numbered. Maybe not this season. He'll probably just stay on the roster.
But not
and then I don't know. This Oilers team is clicking now, which is weird. Little mid-season click.
It's clicking
Usually
now.
This is when we're in our dog days.
I honestly, I think I have a pretty good reason as to why. Evander Kane's back.
He's back,
and it's different.
Yeah,
it makes the team. Games. I know, but it makes the team different. It just like they play different as a unit when he's there and playing with them.
Like he's out tomorrow. Personal reasons.
It's the Columbus. He doesn't want to go to Ohio. I don't blame him.
It's in Edmonton. So.
Oh, damn it. Well, he just doesn't want to play. Ohio. Shut out Ohio. He doesn't want to play against Columbus.
No, but yeah, and then I like this Oilers team.
Only bad spot for me is Bush not taking a step, but oh no, a young player didn't step up into a star. Like, what a bad problem to have.
I think Bush is still pretty good, obviously. A lot of people were expecting him to be like a point per game pace this year, which would have been a crazy jump. Definitely took a step back, but it is what it is. You know, you have those things happen. I don't know what his contract is, but maybe it works out in our favor and we get a little cheaper Bush than his market value. But no, I mean, I think the questions around it are the defense and the goaltending. But if they can be hot at the right time, I want to go and get like a shutdown guy at the deadline. I don't know who is available that's a shutdown guy. It's obviously hard to come by.
Yeah, not a hot commodity.
But yeah, I think the Oilers, this team, probably ends up finishing top 3 in the Pacific Division.
Yeah.
And whether they knock out the 3rd place or 2nd place team, maybe even the 1st place, takes a big drop.
I doubt.
And I still might be undervaluing the 2nd place team. But yeah, going into the 3rd place team, the team that is only a game ahead of the Oilers, and surprisingly,
just
in my opinion,
going into this top 3,
LA Kings.
Yeah, going into this top 3 is surprising in general, but especially this 3rd spot, LA Kings.
Yeah.
And if you went into the season and you told me that they would have sent down Cal Peterson to the AHL and still been 3rd in the Pacific, I wouldn't have believed you. But Phoenix Copley is 13-3.
Yeah.
279 goals against.
Quick has been bad.
He's been dog.
Not bad.
He's been
Quick
dog.
stats are pretty bad. It's just surprising that they're 3rd.
Yeah, me too.
Kevin Fiala, nice addition.
Fiala's been
point per game.
He's been so good. The guy's on my fantasy squad, and his power play production.
Kempe's got 19 goals. Kempe also my fantasy team.
Yeah,
I like having Kempe.
And then Philip Deneau. Philip Deneau is playing great two-way hockey, as he always does, and he's a sneaky good fantasy guy to have. Very low percentage guy for a guy that puts up consistent stats, whether it be shots or assists. But, you know.
Yeah.
Weird Kings.
Gabe Velarde with 17 goals.
Yeah. From out of nowhere.
A lot of those early season, but still.
You know, another team where we're kind of seeing a passing of the torch maybe on the defensive end with Drew Doughty and Sean Durzi, kind of a Hedman and Sergachev moment.
A little bit of a downgrade from those two names.
Maybe. Well, there's a reason why one has been in the finals 3 times in a row, and there's a reason why the other is the LA Kings.
It's the Kings version.
Yeah, exactly.
Of Tampa.
It's the light version.
Yeah.
But still, Sean Durzi's been good. Like, people thought he was going to be good going into this year, so 26 points in 46 games. Like
12 power play points.
Like, yeah, can't knock it. There's, with this Kings team...
No, like, in a good way. I think he's a good QB.
Like, with this Kings team, there's really nothing to look at and say, like, ooh, that's bad, other than maybe Quick and Cal Pete. But it's like, there's nothing where you look at and you say, whoa, the Kings! It's just like, they're in 3rd place. because their team is in third place. There's no real greater reason.
Yeah.
It feels like Fiala's a point per game, and he's their best player. It's not like they have like a crazy guy going off, like a 63-point player in 49 games. Like, they just chug along.
Mm-hmm. It's a committee.
Their goal differential's -9.
I think you want to see more
or -8.
I think you want to see more from Byfield.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing probably as a negative. Of 20 games played, 7 points. Even then, it's just under half a point a game in his like first real sniff of NHL time. But like,
yeah,
the weirdest 3 seed. They're not gonna stay here.
You'd like Timmy Stutzel on your team instead of Byfield.
I honestly can agree.
But yeah, again, the Kings.
Weird 3 seed.
They'll find a way to win a game, I guess.
Speaking of teams,
not too much to say about
them. Speaking of teams that find a way to win games, what the hell are the Kraken doing in the 2nd seed in the Pacific? What?
Yeah, they've been really good. They had a 7-game road win streak, first time in NHL history. I think a big part of it is I don't know. I just feel like last year there were expectations on this team and they disappointed. So now this year they kind of want to, shut some people up that didn't think they were much. I think Burakovsky was a good signing. He's leading the team in points with 38 in 45 games. And then the rookie Matty Beniers, 17 goals, 36 points, 46 games.
Crazy good depth scoring.
Top 6 minutes. No, yeah, crazy good depth scoring. And then 2 specific pieces that I want to bring up: Daniel Sprong and Eeli Tolvanen. Just really taking advantage of
the Preds.
Preds, yeah, just taking advantage of 2 players that were being kind of
given up,
pushed out
yeah.
of their former organizations, but had high ceilings and a lot of offensive talent. And, they've come over and thrived in Seattle, and you love to see it. Martin Jones.
Yeah, Martin Jones.
He's 22, 6-3.
Martin Jones is like...
He's 22, 6-3. So you're like, oh my god, that's a crazy record. But only an 8.94.
But his goals against...
2.84 goals against. Is okay. And then 3 shutouts.
Yeah. But it's like Martin Jones, like, when he has these limited expectations, like I remember, like, maybe 2 seasons ago, maybe it was even in the COVID shortened year.
Martin Jones has more shutouts than Vaz and Allmark combined.
Get out of town. But I remember it was like in the COVID shortened year, like the year after that, Martin Jones came in and he was like a top like 60 ranked player in the league, and like randomly went on a 5-game win streak, like 10-game win streak. Like, he has these moments, 22-6. Like, Grubauer's definitely showed he's not that guy. He's not him. He had some good year. Like, Grubauer, he had a good year.
Product of the Avs.
Yeah, but
the Capitals before that. Then he got his payday, and he's not been great. And then Martin Jones has been able to be the starter, which is kind of weird. Another guy, Jared McCann, similar to Olofsson in terms of like the stat distribution, but he's got 22 goals.
That one makes
9
me.
Assists.
It still makes me mad that Jared McCann is really blossoming into not blossoming. He's been a good player for years now, but like he's really proving to the league. It's like we could have protected him over Hull, and we didn't, and now here we are. The other stat for this team: 13 players over 20 points.
Yeah,
like it's crazy. It goes from Adam Larson all the way up to Burakovsky. It's like so much production.
And one thing that's very interesting that I'm only thinking of now is, I hated Vegas when they came into the league, but the thing that they did have going for them was being that ragtag bunch that just bonded together and was a team. Whereas now they went out, got some big names, got those big pieces, and made their team a little more focused around them. We'll get to Vegas, but Seattle has the chance to just be this huge committee, and I'd love to see it for as long as they can not succumb to the needing a star player. But they've got star players,
and
I think
they got
is the center of the future, the franchise, face of the franchise, I would say. And then they got Shane Wright,
future Shane Wright coming up. Like,
I think that's a good 1-2 punch.
They got promise. They got a lot of promise.
Yeah.
And then the team you started talking about, a team that has been like as you said, they
were the best team in the NHL for like the first 2 weeks. They've definitely slowed down.
They went from this ragtag team to now that's like glitz and glamour, this like mainstream team.
Glitz and glamour. I mean,
that's how I see this team. I
do as well. Yeah. I mean, any team with Eichel.
Any team with Eichel, any team with Phil Kessel.
It's true.
That's a mainstream team right there, other than when he was a Coyote.
William Carrier with 11 goals. But yeah, I mean, Vegas is the number 1 team in the division. They've been slowing down a little bit. Their goalies at the start of the year were both playing out of their mind.
Crazy from Logan Thompson to start this year.
Yeah, I mean, he's leveled off a bit, but still playing solid. He's got 19-13-1 record with a 9-12 and a 9-2-7 with 2 shutouts. So very good. But like, yeah, that I think the last time we talked about it, it was at like a 9-3-8 or something like that.
It was crazy. He was so good. I know, like, most like traded for a goalie in fantasy to start the year. And then I had Aiden Hill rostered for a bit. He went on a pretty good win streak to start the year. I remember he like won his first 5 games for sure. So
yeah, he's been good as well. I mean, Eichel was out for a bit. I think if you're gonna point a finger of why the team kind of has reached a little bit of a weird point, it's because of Eichel.
Yeah,
I think agreed. He's their leading scorer points per game wise, 34 points in 35 games. Fun fact: since the Jack Eichel trade, Alex Tuck has has more points per game than Jack Eichel, and has also played like
way more games,
60 more games.
Yeah, like almost an entire
than
season
Jack Eichel.
More. That's bad.
Throw Peyton Krebs on top of that. That's looking like a pretty good deal for the Sabres.
Ridiculously good for the Sabres. But I mean, Eichel is still Eichel.
Fun fact as well. Alex Tuck, fun fact as well. Sabres fan growing up, so I think he's the future captain of that Sabres team.
Yeah,
and a future for the rest of his life Sabre. I would love to see that.
I'd have no doubt.
But yeah, Chandler Stevenson is the leading scorer with 42 points in 48 games.
Yeah, he was a guy that was getting dropped in fantasy early in the year, so I scooped him up in a lot of teams.
Yeah, I own him on a few teams. Yeah,
like beats me that like I don't know. It's another team where it's like this has been a pretty good score by committee team. And then they still have stars. Yeah. The biggest thing, it's like you were saying, they were a ragtag
Theodore's
bunch.
Also hurt.
Yeah, that does suck. But like, I completely agree with what you were saying, is that they were a ragtag bunch, and then they were kind of forced to no longer be that ragtag bunch of teammates. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Vegas is now getting to the point again where they're a team, and they have the team identity. And they've been missing that, and so now that they're a team again, like the Vegas Golden Knights are an established unit now.
Yeah, I think
as much as
if they're healthy, they're a tough out. I think if they're healthy, they're a tough out. However, Theodore's proven to be a little shaky in terms of health. Same with Eichel. So we'll see if they can stay healthy. I think this Vegas team could be the representative out of the Pacific Division. In that Western Conference Finals.
I still think they're the representative out of the Pacific. I still have them.
It's just so strange, and it's so open right now.
No, I don't know if I have them coming out of the West fully. I don't know if
I
still have
Seattle versus Vegas series would be amazing.
That would be so good. That'd have so much hype to it. I don't know if I still have the Avalanche coming out of the West.
No, I don't right now.
I don't
know who
is
very wide open.
It's so wide open. I've never seen. I mean, hockey's always really good for parity, but literally any of these teams, like any team in the league right now, could win the cup. I don't trust the Bruins fully to win the Stanley Cup. Any team could win it right now.
That's in the playoffs.
Of course. But like, if we're just looking ahead right now, just based on off what we've seen from these teams, like pre-trades, roster shakeups, pre-injuries that happened midway through the year, just looking at what we know right now, even with
really wide open.
Yeah, it's really wide open. Even with how historically good Boston's been, I could still see them losing in a 7-game series.
I wouldn't have any confidence picking a winner right now.
No, me neither. But like that, and that's why we love hockey. I couldn't ask for anything better from this season so far. Like, it's been a weird
shaping
year.
Up to be a really good second half.
And then it's like the historicness of McDavid's season so far. Like, this is a historically great modern season. He could have 100.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Just based off the way that I'm seeing this, you really start to think, do we need 82 games for an NHL regular season, considering we're halfway through the season and there's already like a clear line drawn between who is maybe going to make the playoffs and who has no chance?
Yeah, I agree for the NBA too. We haven't needed 82 games in a very long time.
82 games is a lot.
I think a bigger thing for I was watching a thing about this for basketball and the difference between the EuroLeague and the NBA is that the EuroLeague, they play 35 games, so every single game matters more.
Yeah.
I think if we only had 64 games, even then, that's a big cut. Yeah. Every single game matters so much more. And for a sport like hockey, which is more physical, it's more mental than most sports, it's a lot more like you have to have a certain level of grit and mental toughness to play hockey. If we shortened the season and made every game matter 5 times more, it's going to become even more so the mentally toughest sport and the best sport in the world. Like, more so than it already is. What would you say would be, what would you say is the right number of games for a season? Like, there's no real right answer, but in your head, what would you like?
Yeah, I mean, 64 would be a good cut. Yeah, I just think 82 is a lot. Even just like shaving it to like 72.
Yeah, that was my first. Games. But I think if we go 64 and then
go down.
I think 64 is good because then you could have the 8 groups of 8 games, and then like you could schedule it out like that.
It's just a long season. Like, where do you start in November? Do you end in May?
I would end in May. Start in October as we do. End in May. No reason. Yep. I would start having trade deadline around this time, or like even like 2 weeks sooner, and then I would have playoffs start around spring break, March, like mid-March, and then we have hockey done by. The only problem with that is that playoffs are going to be competing with March Madness. And that's the only bad thing. But, like...
Yeah, March Madness is like...
You can move March Madness.
It is a big tournament, but it's pretty much just that first weekend that gets most of the viewership.
Yeah.
With round of 64 and then round of 32 back-to-back. You know, viewership drops... I don't know if it drops off, but just, like, collective for all the games drops off in the Sweet 16, I think. But, yeah.
So, there's some thoughts about the... But
that's NHL. The NHL for 2 of the divisions. We will get you guys an episode in, probably within the next week or 2 on the Metro and Central division. Our takes on those teams. And I feel like by the end of that episode, we might be able to talk more about, who we can see winning the cup, just because now we're only looking at 2 divisions. Definitely some strong contenders within, Vegas, Boston, Toronto, Tampa. A little bit biased putting the Oilers in there, but, They were in the Final Four last year.
No reason.
I definitely think. Yeah, if Campbell can have a good 7-game series, I don't see any team in the Pacific Division beating the Oilers in a playoff series.
That's a claim.
I mean, Vegas is the closest.
Vegas would be the closest, but I picked them over the Flames. I picked them over the Kraken. I picked them over the Kings, and then. Below that, it's too much of a line.
Yeah.
And
so I think what's important for the Oilers is getting in that top 3 in the Pacific.
Yeah.
Just because that's an easier path, in my opinion, than if you're that, first or second wild card. Their first wild card right now, crossing over to play like the
Stars or the Jets.
Even then, I like the Oilers' chances. Winning a couple series. Obviously, just get in the playoffs, and then be hot at the right time.
Yeah.
They were last year. They rode it all the way until they faced Colorado, who was on a mission.
Yeah,
Colorado, who lost.
That Colorado team and that run, that might be one of the most dominant stretches of hockey.
Yeah.
Just through the eyes of the modern lens too, because because there's teams that have won, like the Islanders won 4 straight cups, and like I don't think we'll ever see that again. But just like in this modern game of modern parity and just salary cap and how tight it is, that was one of the most impressive stretches of hockey by any teams ever. And to have it happen in the playoffs too, will a team do that this year? I doubt it.
Yeah, they had Makar, Rantanen, and McKinnon all playing at like superstar levels.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to compete with that, especially with the sporting cast that they did have.
So, that's the NHL.
Oh, yeah.
We're looking forward to the playoffs. I think that everyone is, but First off,
still lots of season left.
I want to get through this trade season and then make a bunch of videos and talk on the podcast about some big NHL trades and some big NBA trades that happen. So,
things are going to heat up post deadline for both. Obviously, we'll probably have an episode dedicated to each NBA and NHL deadline, just going through what we think about each of the trades. Not just specifically on the deadline day, but any trades around. Now that I think about it, this has been a quiet NHL trading year.
Same with NBA. NBA, we've had 2 trades, and then NHL. Have we had a major?
Has there been a trade involving like a roster player this year?
None that I can name. None that I can.
Quentin Byfield has a point tonight.
It's just like, if I'm trying to think of guys that are playing
NHL
on. Timmins. Timmins on the Leafs. That was a trade.
Yeah, but even then,
like,
if you're putting Connor Timmins as like the biggest piece to have been moved
in the entire NHL,
Ryan Reeves.
Yeah, for a 5th
Ethan Bear got traded
to the Canucks, and he's not doing anything on the Canucks right now.
Michael DiPietro to the Bruins.
Okay.
Klim Kostin
for your Oilers, but like, it's been quiet. I think once the first domino falls, we're gonna see like 6 or 7.
It's been a very
trades.
quiet trade year.
I think everyone is waiting for the market price to get set, and then everyone's gonna buy after that, and that's the same for basketball. And I think with talking about basketball, the
market price.
Yeah, Rui Hachimura trade that might be lowering the price in basketball. Like, realizing that you could get a talent like Rui Hachimura for 3 second-round picks, like that might help and bring down. But like, the price of individual assets is way too high right now in both sports, and it is. Everyone thinks they're too good right now.
It's the the NFL might even be having an impact, but like, if you're not getting multiple pieces for your guy, you're very hesitant to trade them. But no, as I mentioned, I hate the market price. It's why the Oilers are paying Darnell Nurse $9.5 million. Yeah. So hopefully our teams don't bite on something that's not worth biting on. We'll see. I think both of our teams, at least the Oilers, I think, are buyers at the deadline. Not that the Leafs wouldn't be buyers. It's just like,
I think the Leafs buy a piece.
How much flexibility do they have?
They have avenues to go to free up space. But this is more or less a conversation for a different day. Once we get more into talks, once we get more into trade talks, once we get more into contract talks. But for now, that was it for our little update on the Atlantic and Pacific Division standings. We might have an NBA episode out for you next, but we know that we'll be coming out with the Metro and Central divisions before the Super Bowl. I know that for sure. We'll have that out, and then we'll do a Super Bowl football dedicated episode. So thank you all for joining us, and see you next time when we talk about the NBA and a little bit of rivalry week.
Thanks for listening.